change of pace. So backstory that you need to know is A, the word lupine means wolf. B, when I was very young, I went through a werewolf phase where I believed very, very hard that I was a werewolf. It was a long phase of my life, and I actually had like a whole were gang in my middle school and early high school years. And it's not something I talk about often because, it could be embarrassing, but I'm learning to grow with all of the parts of me. Yeah, obviously I'm not a werewolf because I never changed into a wolf. That was kind of the dividing line, It's like, well, if that never happens, then that's probably not what I am. So that was an interesting phase of my life for sure. And I think I was even in like my school newspaper for it because I tried to start a club. And I was always trying to start clubs. So there's the backstory. So, on my trip through California, we got to stop at a lovely house. Such a wonderful time just like meeting people who just welcomed us into their property. And so, this one place we were staying for about a week, and they had, they were on a corner. This was in Humboldt County, off of 101, California, and I think a town called Willits. And they had on their backyard just this beautiful wooded property, and it was the first time driving up the coast that we got into like, oh, here's like moss and ferns and beautiful tall redwood trees, even though we were to see larger ones further still on the road. And so one day I was meditating and doing my breath work in those woods, very thankfully, and I heard my meditations are interesting now where it kind of just, all of a sudden, I just gotta go do it. I gotta go sit by a tree and I gotta breathe, just to stabilize or whatever. Something in me yearns to just go do it. So that was one of those scenarios. And in my meditation, I hear a sassy black lady's voice telling me about how all I ever need to remember to do to get to this point in my meditations is to breathe as deeply as I can. And this is a recurring theme in a lot of my meditations, that breath, for me at least, is the key. And so I followed this sassy voice that was scolding me for not breathing deeply enough, often enough. And when I found the source of it, it was this pretty big locust. And I said, oh, is this you talking to me? And she said, sure enough. And so, take that for what it is. It was a nice experience. So I sat with that locust in my hands and we sat and talked for a while. And my meditations at that point had started to come to me in songs, that I would sing these songs of thankfulness out into the trees and the wind and the earth. And if I breathed and was patient, I would get a response in the same sort of sing-songy way, with beautiful rhymed words that I believe full-heartedly I couldn't have made up myself, unintentionally. So it was one of those instances where I thanked for the reminder to breathe. I thanked all the trees. I thanked California and just the place that I was and the people there with. And the song I got back, I wrote it down in another book. I don't have it here with me, but the song I got back was about letting go of fear and about the breath work. And it reminded me to take in a really big, deep, full breath. And I let it out and I went all the way to the ground. And as I was coming up, it said, we tried to tell you a long time ago, but you misconstrued the message. All this time we've been trying to tell you to be aware. And I looked up, and the corner of the house that we were staying on was the corner of Lupine Ave and Lupine Way. And it just hit me like a ton of bricks, and I fell, and I started laughing. As a young child, I had gotten this message to be aware, and I said, yeah, I'll be a werewolf. And it said all these years later, no, child, we were telling you to be aware. And so I thought that was really comical, and so I've really taken that into the work that I do now, trying to be aware at all times of my surroundings and the energetics in any situation, because when I was very young, I just jumped to conclusions about what I thought it meant and ran with it. And to all this time later, have a sassy bug on the corner of a house that a stranger was letting me stay on a different side of the country. To say, all this time, just trying to get you to be aware. And I guess comically, if I had been more aware up until that point, I might have gotten the message sooner. So that's my werewolf story. The end.